Hi guys, welcome to Delaware Studios. This is another Android programming tutorial. We'll be talking about building flexible layouts with Flexbox Layout. 2016, Google announced ConstraintLayout, which enables you to build complex layouts while maintaining a flat view hierarchy. It is also fully supported in Android Studio's Visual Layout Editor. At the same time, Google also sourced the Flexbox Layout to bring the same functionalities of the CSS Flexible Layout model to Android. We have cases where the Flexbox layout is particularly effective. What is a Flexbox layout in Android? This can be interpreted as an advanced linear layout because both layouts align their child views sequentially. The significant difference between linear layout and Flexbox layout is that Flexbox layout has a feature for wrapping. That means you can add the flex wrap equals to wrap attributes in your code. So we're actually going to create a cat gallery to integrate the new Flexbox layout into the layout that we'll be using, which will actually be replacing the traditional grid layout. So without much ado, I'll be diving straight into Android Studio, where I'm actually going to create the project structure and get the application ready. So right there in Android Studio, I will be creating a new project, start a new project. Whereby we're going to call it Cats Gallery. And I would like this to sit right there in an Android Studio projects. Click next. Phone and tablet and empty an activity. Let's finish up. So we're actually going to be including a dependency. If you're designing the Flexbox for recycler view, we'll be adding alpha to the end of the dependency. But if you're just using the Flexbox layout without the recycler view, probably you want to use it in a list item or just as a text view, you're going to actually take away the alpha 3. But I'll actually be integrating using the recycler view. So I'll be adding this into the dependency values. So we are having the structure almost completed, but before we continue, I would like to import some cats PNG files because I'm actually going to encode pictures here. It's not a gallery that sync data from the cloud. You can even improve on this. I have a lot of tutorials to cover you on how to take away encoded pictures using Glide, using Picasso. You can call in picture files into your application. But the main focus of this application is the Flexbox layout. So we're actually not going to be taking picture values to the cloud. So before continuing, I would like to quickly import those pictures, and I'll go straight to the root of the application. You can as well do that from Android Studio. I just want to do that from the backend. Cats gallery. Source main res drawable. So you can paste in a drawable right there. So we have all the cats pictures pasted. So move back to Android Studio. Now we're going to take a look at the project. It's still kind of loading up, but it's fine. We'll look at the Gradle scripts, the module app, so that we'll be able to integrate the dependency, which is the Flexbox. Right there, we have the Android support app compact version 7.25.3.1. You also need, you're going to need the design library, the support design, and you will need Flexbox. So let me include Flexbox before the support design library. So we're going to have the compile cam.android support design 25.1.1. Very important. Let me just copy this out. I will always make reference to the Android support. So we're going to have compile cam dot just have this. So this is actually going to be recycler view. Version 7. 5.1.1. The last compile will be the Flexbox. But we're going to have compile cam.google.android Flexbox 2.3.0 alpha 3. So I need to sync this up so that we're going to have the project set ready. Alright, we have the project synced. Let's go to the rest, the layout. We have the activity main. We'll be having two other layout activities, which is the content main and the view order for the cards. Let's create those layout resource file. Content main. Another one, which will be view order. Let's do cards. So let's open the activity main. However, we have the text of the activity main, which will actually be in a coordinator layout. So I'm actually going to, let me have a preview, and right there in the relative layout, I'll be changing this to Android that supports design widgets coordinator layout, and we have that set. Let's assign an ID to this layout. Android ID, which will be at concatenate ID / let's give it coordinator layout. That's fine. And we have our two constants from the main activity. So we're going to replace this text view. We're going to have Android support design widget layout, and we have an ID of Android ID we're going to have the layout with height, layout width, which will be match parent. Why the height is going to take out a dimension, which will be creating layout height will be calling dimension, which is bar height. Android fixed system windows, which will be true. The last attribute, Android theme, call the style, app theme, app bar overlay. So we're going to close that. But before we continue, let's quickly create the app bar height right there in the dimensions. Let's have that set. I'm going to call dimensions with the name which is required, app bar height, on it DP. So that's that. After this, we'll go back to the activity main, or by just continue with the structure of the code. Right inside the app bar layout, we're going to have the Android support, design, widgets, collapsing toolbar, layout. We're going to have an ID, toolbar layout, Android, layout width, match parent, corresponding height, also match parent, Android, fit system windows, that should be true. We're going to have app content screen. Please pay attention on some of these new attributes, which is predominant to the flex layout. We call the attributes color primary from the colors XML. We also have the app layout, scroll flags equals to scroll enter always collapsed. Let's import the app attributes. That's cleared. We have the closing collapsible toolbar layout. Right inside this toolbar, we'll get to have the main toolbar, that's the widgets, the Android support, version 7, widgets, toolbar. We also assign an ID, Android ID, which will be toolbar, collapsing toolbar, and the required width and height should be match parent, height will also point to the attribute, action bar size. Call the app layout collapse mode to be pin. Let's assign pin to that, and we have the app pop-up theme, which called the style, app theme, pop-up overlay, app theme pop-up overlay. So we got to create that right inside the styles XML. So that's that. But we need to also include the content since we are using the app bar layout and also integrating the coordinator layout. We will include right inside here layout. I will call the layout. That's going to be the content main. Be the content of this particular activity. So let's quickly create the styles, which is for the pop-up overlay that we're going to actually specify for the no action bar. I hope you know how to do this by now. I've actually repeated the steps over and over again. Theme, no action bar. And then name, what we call the window action bar to be false. And also we call the item name because we're trying to override the default toolbar. Window no title also to be false. But this should actually take the true boolean since that is false, and afterwards we'll create the style. Name should be app theme, app bar overlay, while the parent should be theme overlay. That's app compact, dark action bar. To have another one. This time is going to be for the pop-up. We'll call the app theme. Overlay. The parent theme overlay app compact light. So we have that tidied up. Now that is been settled, let's close this accurately. We'll get to look at the content main. Content main is still empty, and this will actually be the recycler view. So we only need to include the recycler view here. So I'm actually going to call the Android support version 7 widget recycler view. So with that, I can easily drop this down. Now we have the rotation as vertical, and the layout with height match parent. Might not need this. Instead of this, I will need the upper layout behavior. That calls the strings. Get to create that too. String upper scrolling view behavior. Let's import this, and let's create an ID. Android ID. cycler view. It's fine. So we have that set, which is okay. Now we'll look at the view order cat. This actually be the image view for each cat. Now this is actually going to take this dimension called image view. Let's drop this down. What's this? Let's assign an ID to this Android ID. Image view. Now the layout width would wrap content. Likewise the height. I don't need an orientation here. Image view. Now let's have the scale. Let's try to scale this for the Android. Scale type, center crop, to centerize and crop unnecessary edges. We have the layout margin as 1 dp, and we're going to call Android content description. That's the content description of this particular image of the image in question. So we have string. How about we call content description? So I'm going to actually create that in the strings XML. Always put string values in the appropriate XMLs. Don't add code values. Try to avoid that in any of your Android projects. String name equals to content description. It's called cat image. So back to the view order, content description. We have that set, which is ready. So from here we'll be looking at the Java codes. What about we'll be looking at the major activity that were used. We have the main activity and the cat view order, because we'll be using a recycler view, and its adapter. So right there in the main activity, which is going to be the launcher of this particular application, we're going to extend subcompact in the onCreate, which is the starting method at launch. How about we set the content view to the layout activity main, and let's initialize the toolbar. And find view by ID. Toolbar. Set support action bar. Pass the toolbar as parameter. So we'll initialize and instantiate the toolbar. Now we go straight to the recycler view. Let's initialize that as well. Recycler view. Find view by ID. Recycler view. Now we call the Flexbox Layout Manager. Can you see that? At this point, most times we either call the linear layout, which is for the recycler view, or we call the grid, or we call the staggered grid. Now we're looking at the Flexbox Manager. Layout Manager. This is the sheet. Flexbox Layout Manager. Now let's use the Layout Manager object. Look at the attributes that we'll be making here. We set the flex wrap, that's to wrap around the flex, what we call flex wrap. This now the attributes wrap. We also call the layout manager one more time. Let's set the direction of the flex. So we also call the flex direction. To specify the direction as a row. Call layout manager again. Let's set align items, which takes an integer, to align items. Now we call the int value stretch. Call layout manager one more time. This time we're going to set layout manager set this we've actually set the align items. It's not going to be set to the layout manager set. It's going to be applicable to the recycler view. I was wondering. Layout manager one more time. Now you set the layout manager to the value of the layout manager. Now let's call the recycler view adapter. An object adapter equals to new. Now it's going to instantiate the cat adapter, which is yet to be created. I'll pass this keyword. Now we call the recycler view to set the adapter, which is actually going to be the view of this layout. That's adapter's parameter. Close that right there. So let's quickly create the cat adapter, and which is actually going to hold on to the data source, its display attributes, which will need the view holder. When we talk about recycler view, you should understand this by now. Cat adapter. So this extends recycler view, calling adapter as this data source, cat view holder. We haven't created that. Let's import the recycler view. Now we're going to have a private static. This is not changing. Final integer array called cat image IDs. I will instantiate new integer. So the first one will be drawable, call the drawable. These are just the cat values are imported, comma, the drawable gets 2, and the drawable gets 3, and the drawable gets 4, and the drawable, it's quite long. So here we go. The cats are pictures from 1 to 19. We have that set. So outside the array, you're going to call the context, because of course we need a context for the view order. Context, which is just like an instance of a class. Context. So call that out. Now let's call the get adapter. As the context. It's object. Now we want to make it as the value of the m context variable created earlier. Should be equals to context. That's fine. So let's have the cat view order, which will be overriding its parent class of a public cat view order, which is called the onCreate view order, view group, object of parent, and also the integer view type. This actually returns the new cat view order as view. This is parameter. We get to create the class. Let's have the necessary details. Now you call the layout inflator, which is from the parent get context. Let's import the view. Inflate layout view order get parent false. That's fine. So let's have the unbind view order. Public void unbind view order, which takes the cat view order with the position. Now we have the position. Sometimes you can create the adapter right inside, you can create the view order rather right inside the adapter. Depends on how you want to do it, and you can decide to separate it. Image IDs, get the length. Now you still call on the drawable, which is the data. Object called drawable, which equals to the resource syscompat get drawable. Now you pass them context. Get resources. for the cat image IDs. Let's pass the position inside the array. So we call the order dot bind to drawable. Order bind to drawable. So without much ado, we need the cat viewer. We need the cat viewer. Cat viewer, which we actually depicts the recycler. Now this extends recycler view viewer. So have a private field of image view called image view. Now let's have the cat viewer. We have the view and the item view. Support this. Call the super passing item view. And we call the image view. Trying to initialize the image view. Find view by ID. And item view. Find view by ID. ID. Image view. That's for the cat viewer constructor. Now let's have the void bind to method. Calls the drawable. Let's create an object. And now let's call the image view to set image drawable, not bitmap. We are setting the picture to the value of the drawable. Let's call the view group. Layout. Layout params. LP. And image view. Get layout parameters. That's just the meaning of that. Now let's test if LP is an instance of Flexbox Layout Manager, which calls the parameters as the layout params. Now call the Flexbox Manager. Call the layout params. But we're going to give it an object of Flexbox LP. Flexbox Manager, which also called the layout params. Call the Flexbox LP to set flex grow. So it's going to be a float of 0f. Takes a float parameter. So that's for the viewer and also the cat viewer. Right inside here, a quick fix. This should be order. So that calls the bind to our method. So what other thing? We have the class cat adapter, which extends is trying to say this should be an abstract class. The recycler view adaptive with the cat view holder. So the message we're getting is either the get adapter class be an abstract class, or it implements the get item count. So we actually, let's create the get item count, because if we decide to make this an abstract, it's going to contradict the main activity that they actually instantiate, because you can't instantiate an abstract class. So let's get this fixed with the public int get item count, which return get image IDs. Let's get the length and multiply by 4. That fixes it. So this is just how to go about calling the Flexbox layout. And if you should notice right there in the main activity, we did the major call to the Flexbox, whereby we first of all initialize the Flexbox layout manager. We set the flex wrap, we set the direction as a row, and we set the align items to actually stretch out. Even right there in the view order, we test for the layout parameters from the view group if it's an instance of the Flexbox layout manager, before we can set the flex go to the float value. So these are major points whereby we get to use the Flexbox layout integration. This is just the data value. You can decide to use a network core and any other thing, because this is just like displaying to your recycler view, but you're now using the Flexbox instead of using the grid, staggered grid, or the linear layout. So I'm actually going to be testing the source code right there in an emulator, so don't go anywhere, stay tuned. If you notice, the layout in a linear layout, the images are not cropped, they're easily wrapped around, so you don't have a kind of stretched image or a cropped image, and their dimensions is not just equal. If you notice, this is not equals to this, it's not even equals to this layout. So it's not a grid layout or a staggered grid layout, but you can have a flexible layout, whereby you get to use the flex mode, and you can see how the layout looks like. It's quite beautiful. You can actually integrate this in your application, change your grids to this layout, to the flex layout, or change your linear layout to something different. This is actually looking good. So this is just how to create the flex layout right there in this application, which will thoroughly explain, starting from the build grid, where we integrated the Flexbox, the recycler view, and the support design, going down to the different layouts that were created, activity main, content main, actually holds on to the recycler view and the view order, which is the image view. We have the same thing goes with the main activity, the cat view order, and also the cat adapter. So that actually gave rise to this Flexbox gallery. Can you see how beautiful it is? It's a scroll view, so it's actually using the recycler view, and at the same time the layout is in the Flexbox, which is actually not cropping any form of the picture or squashing it or even stretching it to form different things. So the pictures are all of good dimension and resolution. So that's just it. Thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout this tutorial, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have